Hello guys, let's talk about something fundamental, stories. Long before we wrote things down, we gathered around fires, sharing warmth and tales. Our ancestors told stories of hunts, courage, and survival, lessons woven into every word. These stories taught us what to eat, how to survive, and who we were. Look at ancient cave walls. You see stories, memories, and the echoes of our first storytellers. Let's fast forward, out of the firelit cave and into the sun-drenched courtyards of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Here, a monumental shift. We invent writing. Stories no longer live only in memory. They become marks on clay and papyrus, outliving their tellers. Scribes, guardians of knowledge, record laws and legends, making rulers' power and history permanent. Knowledge concentrates among those who can read and write, creating a new hierarchy. Yet stories like Gilgamesh travel far, connecting us across time. Words finally learned to stay. In the medieval world, most people couldn't read. Books were rare treasures, locked away in monasteries. So, stories came alive in the town square. Minstrels and storytellers performed for crowds, their voices booming or whispering, their music building tension or sorrow. These tales brought people together, teaching values like bravery, loyalty, and hope. The story was a living thing, shaped by the crowd, spreading like wildfire through the captivated town. Now, let's witness another explosion in our journey. We're in 15th century Germany, in the workshop of a man named Johannes Gutenberg. What's happening here will change the world forever. Gutenberg didn't invent writing, or paper, or ink. What he did was combine existing technologies, the wine press, metal casting, and block printing, to create something astonishing, the printing press with movable type. Suddenly, producing a book was no longer a matter of spending months or years copying it by hand. Now, hundreds, even thousands of identical copies could be made quickly and relatively cheaply. The story was about to be set free. The first major book printed using this new technology was, fittingly, the Bible. Before Gutenberg, a Bible was an incredibly rare and expensive object, owned only by churches and the very wealthy. An ordinary person would never see one, let alone read one. The printing press changed that. It democratized the Word of God, allowing people to read the scriptures for themselves, in their own homes. This single development was a major catalyst for the Protestant Reformation, a movement that reshaped the religious and political landscape of Europe. It showed that when you give people direct access to a core story, they will interpret it for themselves, and those interpretations can topple empires. But it wasn't just religious texts. The printing press unleashed a flood of stories of every kind. Almanacs, pamphlets, poems, and the first novels began to circulate. Imagine a family in the 17th century gathered around the fireplace in the evening. But instead of listening to a traveler's tale, the father is reading aloud from a printed book, perhaps Don Quixote. For the first time, a family could share the exact same story as a family hundreds of miles away. This created a new kind of community, one not based on physical proximity but on shared literary experience. People began to see themselves as part of a larger national or cultural conversation. This revolution in storytelling created a new kind of mind. Reading is a solitary, internal act. Unlike listening to a storyteller in a crowd, reading encourages private reflection and individual interpretation. It fosters critical thinking. As literacy rates rose, people began to question the stories they had always been told by authorities. They could now read competing accounts of history, different political philosophies, and radical new scientific ideas. The printing press didn't just put a story in every home. It planted the seeds of inquiry, skepticism, and individuality in every mind. The world would never be the same. Let's leap forward again, into the early 20th century. A new kind of magic is taking hold of the world. It doesn't use ink or spoken words, it uses light. In darkened theaters, audiences sit in silent awe as flickering images are projected onto a giant screen. The motion picture has arrived. For the first time in human history, we can see a story unfold with our own eyes, as if it were a dream we were all having at the same time. This new medium bypassed the logic of the written word and spoke directly to our emotions, our fears, and our deepest desires. It was storytelling at its most visceral. Think about the impact of the first silent films. Without a single spoken word, they could make audiences around the world laugh with Charlie Chaplin's antics or gasp at the daring stunts of Douglas Fairbanks. The story was told through universal languages, body language, facial expression, and music. A farm boy in Kansas and a factory worker in Tokyo could both understand and be moved by the same film. The silver screen created a global culture, a shared set of visual references and iconic heroes. It gave us a new mythology, one populated by cowboys, detectives, and glamorous movie stars who seemed larger than life itself. When sound was added, the spell became even more powerful. Now, stories could be told with dialogue, music, and sound effects that immersed the audience completely. The cinema became a place of pilgrimage, a secular cathedral where people went to escape the hardships of their daily lives during the Great Depression or the anxieties of war. Films shaped fashion, slang, and social attitudes. They showed people new ways to live, new places to dream of, and new ideas to consider. A film like The Wizard of Oz wasn't just a children's story, it was a powerful allegory about finding strength, intelligence, and heart within yourself. This new form of storytelling also came with immense power to persuade and to unify. During World War II, Hollywood became an essential part of the war effort. Training films, newsreels, and feature films were created to boost morale, encourage enlistment, and demonize the enemy. They crafted a powerful narrative of good versus evil, uniting a diverse nation behind a common cause. The stories told on the silver screen weren't just entertainment, they were shaping the national consciousness, defining what it meant to be a hero, a patriot, and an American. The Dream Factory was also a belief factory. The magic of the screen couldn't be contained in theaters for long. After World War II, televisions began appearing in homes, beaming stories straight into the living room. Families gathered nightly around this glowing electronic hearth, sharing laughter, news, and drama. With only a few channels, millions watched the same shows, creating a powerful shared experience. TV became our new town square. People talked about last night's episode at work and school. It also brought the world's realities home, from civil rights protests to the Vietnam War. Television didn't just reflect culture, it helped shape and change it. Today, the single hearth of television has shattered into billions of screens in our pockets. We now live in the age of the digital campfire, a vast global web of narratives. We're not just the audience anymore, we are all storytellers. A dance in South Korea can become a global story, retold by millions on TikTok. The power to create and share stories is now in our hands. But this new world can also fragment us, as we exist in our own filter bubbles. Together, we're weaving the grand narrative of our time, one post, one video at a time. Our journey never truly ends. The story of storytelling is endless. From ancient fires to glowing screens, our need for stories remains. Stories help us connect, understand, and find our place in the universe. The next chapter may be virtual, where we step inside stories, not just watch them. But as technology evolves, so do our questions about truth and values. Listening, questioning, and understanding stories will always matter. Every story you share adds to the tapestry of human culture. The future of storytelling is in your hands. Write a good one.